I'm CYRILLA MOZENTER. This is Philip PERKIS.
Hello.
And we're presenting our new bilingual collaborative book, Octave, today. It was published this spring by Anmock Press in Seoul. I will read the brief introduction from the book, and then we will take you through the book, and Philip will tell you about how it came to be. This book presents the images and writings of two artists in concert, CYRILLA MOZENTER and Philip PERKIS. Reproductions of Philip Perkis's gelatin silver prints span a range of time and place. CYRILLA MOZENTER's photographs of her work with hand-stitched felt and paper are similarly culled from different bodies of work and periods of time.
Hi. Just to describe how this came about and a little background, I've been photographing in straight black and white film, darkroom printed gelatin silver prints for about 65 years now. And I'm either very persistent or very stubborn, depending on whether you want to look at me that way or the other way. CYRILLA and I have been together for about 35 years, and our life together has been an ongoing conversation about art and life, as well as about food and money and stuff like that. We've always wanted to do something together, and we never have. And so last year I was sitting in my studio, which we're sitting in now, and I was editing photographs and just looking at prints, and there was a drawing of CYRILLA's, one of my favorite drawings of hers, on the wall, which is in back of us, and I was looking at my prints, and then at a certain point I looked at a print, and then I looked up at her drawing, and I looked back at the print, and I looked up at the drawing, and I went over and I put the print next to a drawing, and I called her from the other room, and I said, "CYRILLA, let's do a book together." And she looked at it, and we went for it. And so we spent the next 2 or 3 months editing, looking at our work together, laying it out together, sequencing it. And it's important to know that this book is not our greatest hits. This is pictures that go together to make a unique work of art, which is a book. And the book is published by Tae Park at Anmock Press in Seoul, who's one of our best friends and a person who's translated and published 4 of my books previously over the past 20 years. So the texts are translated. Tae translated my writing, which is in the back of the book, and Jung-Hoon Lee, another dear friend in Korea, translated CYRILLA's essay, which he's going to present in a moment. The book came together in a very graceful way. We just spent hours and hours standing in the studio at the table, just putting pictures next to each other and sequencing and so forth and so on. And it was a very graceful act. And I'm very pleased to be in a work of art with CYRILLA, who's been my partner for all these years. I don't know what else to say at this point. I think that kind of tells you what it is, and it's a book. So CYRILLA's going to.
Well, do you want to say anything else about your photography?
Well, I've been photographing mostly with a 35 millimeter Leica with black and white film for, as I said, about 65 years. And I've been photographing all over the world. I've been shown a bit. My work's been published in several books. And now I'm photographing right around the house, which is interesting. Now in my later years, I'm photographing very close to home, and the pictures are much, the subject matter becomes less and less important, and just the feeling or the emotional quality of the pictures is more important. So I keep working, and I want to keep working until I can't, and it's been my life. So I think that's enough to say.
I will read now my notes on process in English that are in the book. As Philip mentioned, we both have texts about our work or in relation to our work in the book. In the 1980s, I made a series of primarily large-scale charcoal drawings. I had been painting and began to feel that I was choking a surface. In reaction, I pinned paper to the wall and abandoned brushes in favor of hard sticks of charcoal that I imagined as swords. I wanted to cut through. The process was ceremonial. I thought of myself as a samurai warrior. Precision and exactness were required. From an up to 25-foot expanse of gestural marks, a vocabulary of images emerged that was new to me, yet oddly familiar, as though puzzle pieces dislodged from inside my body had assumed form. The fields of gestural marks comprised a visual tangle that in hindsight suggests felt, though it took many years before I began to work with felt. I chanced upon and immediately responded to rectangles of beige wool felt newly imported from China in the paper department of a New York art supply store. I have been working with wool felt as my primary material since. Felt is a non-woven textile of ancient origin, a matted tangle of sheep-sheared fibers with weight and physical presence. I came to liken it to warm snow, a puzzling phrase of seeming contradiction from Gertrude Stein's libretto for the opera Four Saints and Three Acts. In the Grail legends, Parsifal sets out on his quest in the month of May, and it's snowing, warm snow. Like snow, felt is an insulator and makes quiet. I cut out felt shapes and stitched them together by hand. This doomed attempt at regularity is in opposition to the compressed chaos that is felt. I think of the stitching as drawing with a concrete line, and I consider cutting as a form of physical drawing. In the felt wall pieces, shapes are inlaid and stitched into position, not unlike marquetry. The freestanding pieces are self-supporting. There are no armatures or additional supporting materials. The seams function as an exoskeleton, enabling open interior spaces while simultaneously provoking and resisting felt's natural inclination to buckle, stretch, droop, and torque. The density and potentially smothering qualities of felt contrast with the open space contained within each form. The Arctic Spring series describes a period of change. Cold temperatures preserve freshness. In cold regions, life is reduced to essentials. While spring suggests new life and hope, In this locale, it is also menacing. An occasional thaw, however, enables flow. I needed to give my hands a rest from sewing felt. In some, but not all instances, I substituted archival corrugated cardboard. I cut out shapes, joining and entombing them in many layers of white cut and pasted Japanese handmade mending papers. The more layers, the whiter the snow. The more snow, the longer the resulting forms would be preserved. I imagined these constructions as the last of their kind. I continue with felt. Each work I make involves the cutting of shapes from a ground, thus generating raw material for works to come. I have been using more color. The unpredictability of interaction between colors of felt is heightened further by the changing colors of silk thread that bind them together. Edges are softened and the shadows between them eliminated. I watch it happen as I stitch.
So that's our presentation. So if anybody wants to ask a question, we'll do our best to respond with intelligence.
This is Dorothy from France. Thank you so much for an introduction to your work. It's fascinating, and it was especially fascinating, Cyrilla, for you to be talking about your work while Philip's photos were being shown. I think that was amazing. So this is, you said, a folio book. It's not something that you can just, we're going to be able to just purchase. It's going to be a limited edition book, your book.
No, you can buy the book in the United States. You can get it at Photo Eye Books in Santa Fe, and outside of the United States from Anmoc Press, ANMOC, in Seoul, Korea. So you can find both of those on the internet easily.
It's a regular book, and it's not a huge edition book. You know, it's like 300, I think, but
the work is beautiful. Thank you so much. I have Wessant sheep, so I've been building a felted boat. Yeah, I grew up in Hawaii, so I don't exactly knit, but no, the works are really beautiful. I'm going to look out more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments.
I thought there was like a nice parallel how Cyrilla has come to work with felt. And Philip said that he's working in photography more on a sense where he likes how the photos are felt. And so the word felt comes up in both of your works, one for feeling and one for the actual material.
I think it's interesting to, in regard to that, to ponder the difference between feeling and emotion. That's all I have to say about that, though.
But you are also correct, and I think sometimes, you know, I started to work with felt intuitively. I was just drawn to it as I described. But, you know, I'm also into language, and after a while, I realized that that word has other meanings, you know? So what in me was operating, you know?
It's been a pleasure doing this with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope people got something out of it.
Any interesting stories during this process?
We were both amazed at how gracefully it came together. It seems that it felt like it was meant to be, and there was an argument. I don't believe there was even one argument in us doing it. It seemed to want to be, and our job was just to pay attention to how it wanted to be. So that's kind of magic.
And I agree. And a quality I look for in making work is the quality of inevitability. And there was that feeling about this book and how it came together that, as Philip said, it was meant to be and it felt inevitable. Like, that's the right form. And I will also add that Tahi Park of Anmock Press supported us, and with her working with us was in the same spirit. It was graceful, and she did a beautiful job, and we're grateful.
And she's an amazing photographer also.
As is Jung-Hyun Lee, who did the translation of my text.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.